everybody. It's Friday. It's Box Seats. This is the show where we talk about sports with comedians, and we got to get into it today because we got a lot of stuff to discuss. So first up is my man Fig. What's happening, Fig? How you doing today, bro? How's everything?
Hey man, I'm doing good. TGIF. Let's get it started.
Yeah, I'm trying to tell you. Like, I want to jump into it real fast myself. Next up is my man Mike Sean. Mike, how you doing today, sir?
I'm excellent. Let's get it started.
Rodney Perry's in the building too. Rodney Perry, what's happening?
All is well.
That's good to hear. Good to
Love
hear.
that shirt, Rodney.
Yeah, dope. Respect. Like that. Also, my man Amir, how you doing, sir?
I'm good. TGI Friday crew. How's everybody, man?
I'm good. Thank
Good.
you for joining the show.
Let's do it.
Thank you for joining the show. You know what? I want to jump into this first Fig, and I'm gonna throw it out to you, man. Is that WNBA is getting ready to get started this weekend and everything else. And WNBA, for the first time in literally their 25-year history, they got a lot to deal with. First of all, they're dealing with Brittany Griner situation, and then comes news of Cynthia Cooper, who's now accused by former players of abusive behavior, saying abusive, you're obviously saying foul language and stuff like that. And reportedly, she has she continues to do this continuously. Her players and former executives and stuff like that have been saying that to her. I think this is a bad look for the WNBA, but I'm also like, look, this is your 25-year anniversary, and I don't think she's saying too much more than most coaches are saying. Granted, you might not like the language and everything. Now, I'm not trying to obviously say that it's good and all, but what you think about when you hear this big on their 25-year anniversary? What's your take?
You know, because it's a 25-year anniversary, you don't want to start it off on a bad note and with negativity. The Brittany Griner thing is, I think that more so than the WNBA, I think that's a United States of America thing, because we're talking about a foreign country and an American citizen being held in a foreign country. So I believe that has to do with the government as opposed to the WNBA. But with Cynthia Cooper, man, I came up in an era. I mean, you know, I'm a little older than you know a couple of guys, well, probably all the guys on the panel. But when I played sports, man, I was used to coaches coaching you hard. You know what I mean? Cussing you out, whatever. I remember playing football. The captain of the team, if you was doing something wrong, the thing that a captain would do is slap you upside the helmet or whatever and stuff like that. You know, it's just sports. It's to get you motivated, get you into the mode of playing and stuff like that. And if you can't handle, like, it's tough stuff. If you can't handle it, then maybe you should do something else. If you can't stand being coached hard, then maybe you should pick another sport. I mean, because I believe that Cynthia Cooper comes from that old school.
I agree with that. Rodney Perry, what's your take on that, bro?
You know what, man? I mean, everybody, I heard y'all talking about the WNBA the other day. Don't nobody want to see it, man. You know, and I'm sorry for Brittany Griner, but we all done watch Locked Up Abroad. You can't be over in different countries with weed and expect people to be lenient. I mean, I would thought she would have been free by now, and I'm upset with Joe Biden for not doing nothing about this. But you know, other than that, there's a war going on at the same time, so it's just bad time all the way around. But WNBA, man, I watch the games from time to time. I get tickets to the game. My daughters like the games, but they miss too many shots, man.
Yeah, I think that's one of the issues that the people have. Mike, I'm gonna throw it to you, man. Cynthia Cooper's news coming out is pretty bad. And at the same time, it's at the doorstep of this Brittany Griner situation. But I think everybody's overlooking too. It's their 25-year anniversary. I think this is all bad press. I mean, we were talking about yesterday. They need press and they need marketing and everything else. I don't think this is what they were talking about, Mike. Your take.
I don't care if it's a 25-year anniversary. What did she do exactly? That's what I want to know. Mm-hmm. When you say abuse, I want to know what she did. Mm-hmm. You want to be like the NBA? Well, guess what? We need to know what you did. Mm-hmm. Like the 25th bad press, bad media, what the ratings going to go down? Listen. Tell me what you did, Cynthia. Because I will say this, and I'm saying this from somebody a female basketball player who played, said there's a lot of craziness that goes on behind the scenes in the WNBA. And that's why she stopped playing after college. That's all I'm going to say. There's a lot.
Yeah.
There was a lot of harassment that she said she had to go through being a heterosexual female. Now, I don't know what Cynthia was doing, but I need some details on what was going on. I need to know what you were saying.
Well,
Did you Bobby Knight somebody?
The most details per the Athletic, Mike, most of the details they're saying is that it was vulgar and sexual remarks consistently when talking to players.
Gotta go. That's a lawsuit.
That's mostly what I hear. Vulgar and sexual, hey. Well, man, what's your take on this, bro?
I think, we got another one of these quandaries here. We looking at a situation where, as you said, the WNBA is celebrating their 25th anniversary. Yes, we'd love to see, the product do what it's supposed to do, which is empower women and empower especially young women who enjoy the sport and so forth and so on. But, you're going to have to clean up your act in order to get to that point. These little young girls who think that the WNBA or dream of being in the WNBA and being a part of that, unique group, if they don't do a better job of getting this thing under control and clearing things up, then what are we sending these young girls into? You see now all these commercials, whether they Nike, Puma, whatever, young girls with hijabs on, doing layups and all that stuff. So, the young people are interested and the girls are interested, but you got to make it a safe space for them to also be able to go and be a part of something. Mm-hmm. And I think that between Brittney Griner and this particular story, it shows that there is some work that needs to be done in order to get their thing up and running properly.
I will say this. What Mike said, it has a lot to do with what's going on. That I've heard, and I've read several different things too, that there's a lot of stuff that goes on with rape and all kinds of different things going on in WNBA. And I've read this stuff, and I have never seen it on any national news out, but I've read it I read a big piece on it in Sports Illustrated a couple of years ago. And I read something in the Athletic a couple of years. I mean, I've seen this, so I'm not surprised. You know what I mean? This is not surprising. What were you going to say, Fig?
Frank, that's not now. When you say stuff like that, that's not bad press. You understand what I'm saying? That's not bad press. What that actually is, it's crossing over the line into criminal behavior. You understand what I'm saying? That's abuse. That's abusive. That's criminal. You not only can you be fired, but you could be arrested for doing something like that. Like, what are we talking about? Could you imagine in the NBA if dudes would? That's insane. Rape. Like, what are we talking about? That's criminal. You'd be going to jail. The hell with the game.
If that's not bad press, and I don't know what bad press is, bro.
No, I'm just saying well, maybe I'm saying it wrong. It goes way beyond bad press. That's criminal. You gotta get you raping these young ladies, but you gotta get locked up. You gotta go to jail.
But what I'm saying is it's bad press in the sense of the WNBA for their brand.
Because we know for a fact if that was the NFL or the NBA, this would be all over ESPN, Fox News, Sports Center, whatever. And these guys would be facing criminal charges.
Hey guys, real quick, Google what Micah Parsons did at Penn State to another man in that locker room, and see how that was swept under the rug. And if he would have done that to a woman, he'd be in jail. The dude, I'm not gonna get into it. It was so horrific that the dude transferred and left Penn State. And Penn State knew it happened and did nothing about it. This happens in these locker rooms, y'all. It's a crazy lifestyle that goes on in them locker rooms.
What were you gonna say, Rodney?
I hear what y'all saying, but I think if the WNBA really want to blow up, they should just let some of this stuff out. I think it's a good thing. I mean, they might want to really, maybe it's not all bad. I mean, Fig says criminal, but I wouldn't mind seeing some of it. You know what I mean? And
what?
Hold on, gentlemen. I mean, let's think this out first. I mean, you said that that they got they do. I mean, you just never know. It might be something like we don't know what they be doing. So let's not jump the gun. As a man who indulges in some of these type of videos, man, I think it could be good for the league.
What was that comment that got put up there on the screen? Did she say what?
Rhonda said, "Oh, don't worry, she's not depressed. She just needs a little bit of to her players." Speaking of another player's depression, that's what Sharonda said. So, and
yes, that's one of the comments.
Yeah, some of these girls need to man up, man.
Listen, at the end of the day, this is the crazy thing. At the end of the day, I think what Roddy's trying to say, if they get bad press, it brings more attention. If there's
Attention
bad
to the-
press, it brings more, and more people will pay attention just to see who, they want to
No,
watch.
that's not what I'm trying to say at all. I'm saying
I'm trying to help him out.
don't help me out. Sex sells. Okay.
Unfortunately, as a coach, don't nobody go to see a coach. But I get what's right.
No.
I'm trying to get what Rodney's saying.
Sex sells, gentlemen. I know ain't nothing else attached to the league. And I think Mike said the other day that they come off as really, largely lesbian. So what's not better than that?
Yeah, that's a great point. All right, so let's move on. Next up, man, I'm gonna throw this out there to you, Fig, and I don't know if this whole panel, needs to give Ben Simmons an apology. I don't know if certain people were kind of upset at him. I know I was one of the people who was very upset at Ben Simmons, like because of the way he played. But it came out, I think at the beginning of this week, that he literally did have a disc shift out of his back, and it was like supposed to be this long. It's a minor surgery he takes. He'll be back in 3 to 5 weeks and everything else. The rehab is supposed to take up to 6 months, but he should be back on the court. Literally could be back on the court within a couple of months in that brain. But it's proven, Fig, that he really did have back issues, and we all were thinking that something was wrong with him and everything else.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What do you mean we were thinking?
Hold on. So, Fig, Ben Simmons put out, he retweeted a video saying that Shaq and somebody, and Charles Barkley and a couple of players, they deserve an apology and everything else. Do you think Ben Simmons, who had back surgery, is proven through a doctor, do you think he deserves an apology from us and other NBA analysts and stuff like that because of what we saw? What you think, Fig?
The old school is kind of funny, and it continues throughout the day. Old school is always against new school. I've been guilty of it a little bit myself, talking about the game is a little softer than it used to be. But when it comes to injuries, I did something I said specifically, when it comes to your back or mental health, it's not an exact science. And whether you have it or not, nobody can really say that you do or you don't. So the fact that people came against him, talking about you need to man up and play or whatever and stuff like that. When I listened to Stephen A. when he was like, well, what did you do to get to injure your back? You haven't played in X amount of, months and stuff like that. What were you doing to injure your back? Doesn't matter. He literally had a legitimate injury, and anybody that came against him, saying otherwise, I mean, you don't have to apologize, but you should think before you speak on a person's injury the next time.
All right, Rodney Perry, what's your take on this? Because it came out as a proven fact. He had a herniated disc. He had to have surgery. None of that facts was known during the season, everything else, but it came out recently this week. So what do you think, Rodney? What's your take?
I mean, a similar thing happened to Larry Bird back in the day. Here goes, man. A lot of people was implying that the guy was faking, right? Everybody from Stephen A. Smith to Charles Barkley to some of y'all on this show. Like, he need to hurt him, get himself back in the game. I'm like, dude, what if this guy's hurt for real? And so now it finally comes out he's actually in pain, actually hurting. A herniated disc is very painful, and it can happen doing anything. I mean, we was even in a WNBA story, talking about that. I mean, that could hurt you. That could hurt your back. So who knows? The reality is, man, Ben Simmons needs to get back on the court to kind of alleviate some of this problem. But I think it's going to work itself out.
All right, so Mike, I'm gonna throw it to you because you also was one of the people critical. I know I definitely was. Do you think he deserves an apology? Do you think that he got what he deserved? What's your take on this, Mike?
He deserves apology from Rich Paul. Rich Paul ran to the media and said he had a mental health situation. Never mentioned the back. Then Rich Paul and them said they demanded a trade. Never mentioned the back. Y'all want to run to the media, and then when we have an opinion on what y'all running to the media saying, y'all want an apology. We didn't hear anything about this man's back till he was in Brooklyn. Anything. I never said he was faking about mental health. What I'm saying is y'all never brought this up. Y'all strategically brought certain things up because y'all wanted to force a trade. And now the back is here. Hey, if he's hurt, he's hurt. Like, I never said man up. First of all, I'm on medication for depression, so I get what mental health is about. Like, I understand. So I never pushed it. But if you want to keep manipulating the media and putting these stories out, you put them out, and what do you think is going to happen? People's jobs are to have opinions on them. So now when we find out he's really officially hurt, why didn't y'all tell us that from the get-go? Why didn't you tell us that from the minute he didn't dunk that basketball in the playoffs? So y'all can't mislead us and then get mad because we got opinions on it, whether they be right or wrong. Y'all held out information.
Honestly, I can't dispute anything that you're saying. I agree 100 with what you're saying. And the fact of the matter is, if I look back at the timeline in my brain right now, I'm looking back at the timeline, I think you're absolutely right, because I think at the longer lines, it's always his mental health from the beginning. That was what forced out his issue. I think Mike is absolutely right. I mean, what's your take?
The other part of this, and obviously it, like you said, it just came out now. He has a team of medical doctors, obviously, that he's been dealing with. Maybe the team themselves had medical doctors. Obviously, somewhere somebody dropped the ball. And it didn't definitively come from those of us who are fans of the game. It came from the medical staff who's supposed to examine this man and come up with what's really his challenge. Now, to the point of deserving apologies, this, that, the third. Opinions are opinions. We're all going to have them. Sometimes they're going to be on point. Sometimes they're not going to be on point. Doesn't make you right or wrong. It just makes an opinion. If you allowed that opinion to then, creep into your psyche and put you in any headspace or, place that you weren't supposed to be, obviously that wasn't anybody's intent. Most people's intent was to see this young man who is being paid a ton of money, especially by the NBA and by the two teams who he was being a part of. We just wanted to see him on the court and trying to figure out if his game was really in flux based off of what they said versus what we thought was going on with the young man. That's all that happened.
What you gonna say? Rodney, go ahead.
Man, I hear what you guys are saying, but mental health only matters when it's a woman or with somebody else. When guys are going through stuff mentally, we dismiss it. And it's true of Ben Simmons, whether it's his mental health or his back, the dude was in dire straits, and everybody dismissed it. Either way, both sides. And so now that he's really got a real injury, absolutely he deserves an apology, especially for people like Stephen A. Smith that stood on their platform to millions of people and implied that he was lying. That was whack.
Rodney,
even if you think it's just the mental health, they still apply like, forget your mental health, get back on the court. And that was whack.
But Rodney, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't the 76ers put the news out there that he was seeing some mental health specialist people too? They did do that too, right?
Yeah,
Before the
that probably happened. Yeah, absolutely.
I think Stephen A. Smith and everybody else was going on like what Mike said. I think we all were going on with the news and information we were fed. And at the time, we didn't know nothing about no herniated disc. You know what I mean?
I mean, here goes. I mean, we could argue back and forth on the chronology of the whole thing, but the reality is the dude probably has mental issues and he probably has a back issue.
Probably.
Yeah, both could be true. Yeah, both. Well, I don't know what happened to Rodney, but both things could be true. And to be quite honest with you, I did watch one of the shows this morning, Stephen A. Smith First Take, and it was no mention of Ben Simmons and his injury and stuff like that. And maybe it'll come out on Monday. But all of those guys that was crucifying this young man about him having back issues and or mental health issues, they need to issue a retraction or an apology. It was like, listen, I didn't know, whatever you're going to say. But I think, to assassinate this man's character and to pretend like he was lying, then find out that he was not lying, you need to come out and say something.
The sad thing about this is that everybody heard this, the people standing on the sandbox destroying his character, but everybody's not hearing that he really had back issues. You know what I mean? That's the sad thing about it. His character got destroyed for weeks. Now, the back issues. Yeah.
I mean, what Mike Sean is saying is true though. If you hide that fact, in order to make sure that this trade goes through, you kind of misrepresent yourself. But then Amir says the other side, they got doctors. Everybody, they got doctors.
Go ahead,
You
Mike.
know,
what you gonna say?
And the Sixers had him go to a. Listen, I'm not disputing that. Does the media go overboard? Yes, they do. I'm still frustrated on what they did to Kyrie Irving. I totally agree with that. But this all started. If you look at what happened, this all started because of his play in the playoffs and because his teammates called him out. This all started from that moment on. Then it snowballed into everything like that. So I'm just like, oh, there's a lot here that we're never going to know what's true and what's not
it's
true.
Doc Rivers too, though, Mike. I mean, Doc Rivers called the guy out first and then took it back. I mean, that creates a hostile mental atmosphere on a team. So then you fast forward. We don't know when his back got hurt. His back could have got hurt, you know, after the trade. We don't know.
Yeah, it could have got hurt last year in the playoffs. Well, we don't know. It just built up. All right, let's move on. Next thing up, man, is I don't know if you guys heard about this, but we all saw Draymond Green acting up, and as he was leaving out towards the end of the game, you know, the NBA turned around and fined him $25,000. He was flipping off the fans and everything else. Comes to find out that it happened in the first quarter. He held up 2 middle fingers. I think the NBA was upset, obviously, because he did it on live TV and everything else. I'm thinking this, Fig. $25,000 is literally asking somebody who has $1 million, like for $5. You know what I mean? I think if the NBA really wants to make some kind of thing to this, I think that they should up it from 25,000. But I mean, I don't know if that's even if there should even be a fine. Do you think the NBA is doing anything by fining Draymond Green $25,000? Do you think there's anything going on with this?
No, not this last time, because this last time, he had his eye busted open and he had blood running down the side of his face, and you know the crowd was booing him and you know, attacking him and screaming and stuff like that, cheering at the fact that this NBA player, which you came to see, whether he's on your squad or adversary, and he has blood running down the side of his face because he sustained an injury. For you to act any kind of way negatively towards him it's just bad sportsmanship. Look, I want my team to win more than anything. You know what I mean? But if I see a player down with a serious injury, I'm not cheering that. I don't care what his reputation is. I'm not cheering Pat Beverly getting injured. I'm not cheering Draymond Green getting injured. You take the worst player the player who has the worst reputation in the NBA and they get injured. I'm not cheering that. I'm not cheering the injury of a player, whether they're on my team or not. I think it's bad sportsmanship. And the fact that he threw up the middle finger, I think the NBA took that into consideration, and that's why the fine is so low.
Do you think Roddy Perry, do you think Figs opened up a can of worms with this comment? What you think?
I don't know what the hell Fig is doing. Look, this is consistent with what the NBA has been doing. Gestures is a $25,000 fine. That's just what it is. Gestures to the fan. It's not the first time a player has made gestures to a fan. And you do it on TV, it's $25,000. I don't think it should be more or less. He knew it going in. He said in his press conference, I'll probably get fined for this. And he's right. He should be fined. It shouldn't be more or less. And they should move on. He'll go and do a speaking engagement and make that money up is what he said. And I believe him. So kudos to the NBA and also kudos to Draymond Green for making his point.
I think, Mike, honestly, I think if the NBA really want to make a point, they'll chart that it'd be more than 25,000. But I understand their point because it's a Disney-owned company. It's on prime time. Mike, what's your take?
These players want it every which way, yo. You intentionally tried to hurt one of the Grizzlies with your foul, right? The first game. Then when you get the ejection, you taunt the crowd. That's the first thing you did. You taunted the crowd. So now it's on. You created the atmosphere now. Mm-hmm. So now somebody throws an elbow and you're bleeding, and now they're taunting you. You create the atmosphere, and then you take it to another level. You throw middle finger. You started this. Like Draymond, to me, instigates this and then tries to play the victim. Then the big picture of NBA players. This is what pisses me off about NBA players. You go to the podium and you say, I make $25 million a year. I'll be all right. That's when you're deaf to what this country's going through. And people are looking, going like, this is the ass I'm talking about. You know what people have been going through in this pandemic. But you're so immature that you throw it in people's faces, not realizing that the people that you're insulting are the people that are helping make you this money. But you don't want to think it because you're immature. Like, it incenses me that these guys try and talk so smart on podcasts, but yet their actions are so stupid.
Bro, I wish we had one of them buttons that go, you know what I mean? Like that was one of the. Amir, what's your take on this, bro?
Yeah, I mean, look, I can't even follow that. Mike summed it up, so eloquently with that, point. The funny thing is, the Draymond to the Pat Beverleys of the world, to any of these players. Look, I think there is a way that you can make your presence felt without necessarily going overboard. The problem is this idiotic mentality that we have as fans, where we think that somebody doing overboard stuff sometimes is a great part of the game. It's not. It's like Mike said, it's immature. And bigger than that, all it does is, unfortunately, rile up the fans who are just as immature, if not more. So why would you create that kind of mentality and environment only to then turn around and everybody play victim or act as though something has been done so wrong? I heard you mention it's a Disney-oriented brand. Have you seen some of the stuff that's coming out about some of the cartoons that Disney puts out? So look, we got to stop trying to act as though all of this stuff is so pure and it's all convoluted. We got to just understand that they're going to do things on all sides that we just have to pay attention to and hopefully make our way through it the best we can. It is weird as heck.
Now I'm going to sound like the real old man, right? But this is the actions that these NBA players, and I know I'm going to sound old. Y'all going to kill me for this. But when you got an AAU, a bunch of 12-year-olds who jumped the official because they weren't getting the calls, and they put them in a hospital, like, dog, there is an example that you were setting. As much as we don't want the attitude that the NBA players have on a basketball court right now is to antagonize each other, and these kids are doing the same exact thing. They're doing the same exact thing on AAU basketball courts. Like, we got the one thing where they had the young boy was antagonizing what's his name? Cam Newton with the disrespect. I'm gonna come at your neck.
Yeah.
That is what we're portraying. And that's what we're getting to tenfold now.
Can we get a pause? I get it. Y'all don't like Draymond Green. I get it.
Number one.
Hold up. Number one, I don't think his foul was intentional to hurt anyone because he tried to catch the guy and break his fall. Number two, players jumping a damn referee at an AAU game. It's not on NBA players. That's on their parents. If my child attacks somebody because of a call in a game, I can't blame Charles Barkley, Shaq, Magic Johnson, Draymond Green, or anybody else in the NBA. That is on me. I'm a parent. What my child does is on me, not somebody on TV.
So when the kid gets kicked out of game and walks off an AAU court and puts his middle fingers in the air, I want to know. I know, and I'm going to have to deal with it as a parent because of what he saw. Because he's seeing his celebrity guys that he looks up to. Everything these AAU players do are because of what NBA play. How they dress, how they play, how they talk, how they walk. Kobe Bryant literally talked and walked like Michael Jordan. Don't tell me these players don't have influence.
I understand it, but let me just say this. I grew up watching 70 exploitation movies. I never wore a big pimp hat and colorful clothes and I didn't emulate what I saw on TV.
But many did.
Because I realized, but that's up to the parent. Because my parents wouldn't allow it.
That's not the point. You were blessed. You were blessed.
These children need so it's not on the NBA player. What you're saying is these children need better role models at home.
At the end of the day, this is a situation where both of y'all could be right. Go ahead, Ronnie. What you wanted to add?
Look, I'm sure we can argue this back and forth. The question is, was the fine enough? I think we all agree that, $25,000 is not a little bit of money.
Yes.
A guy is making 20 something million, but I think the fine is more than enough. Some people say maybe it's a slap on the wrist. I disagree. $25,000 is real money, and for it to leave your house, as much as Draymond Green tried to trivialize and make it like it's nothing, it was something to him, and more than that, it's an emotional game, and people react in the moment emotionally, and so is it fair? Is it right? Are they role models? Yes, yes, and yes. And so I think just going forward, I don't think it should be any more than that for a gesture.
I'm gonna leave with this, and we're gonna move on. If you deposit $25 million in the bank, the interest alone would pay off that. It still ain't touching them. I don't think it's harming them. So let
me tell you, this is what I'm talking about being deaf. Draymond mocked the fine, right? He mocked
it because it didn't really hit his pocket.
So now if Adam Silver goes, oh, we gonna mock it? All right, well, I guess we should up it then. Then he'd be wrong. But you mocked the fine.
But it's rules in place, guys.
Yeah.
But if they go to negotiating with the union, said, dog, if y'all are gonna mock the fine at the press conference, okay, then it's gonna be $1 million. Like this is dumb.
But that still don't make sense though.
So now if I watch a movie where dudes is doing the drive-by and no stars is doing the drive-by are my heroes, and then I go by and do one, then I can blame the actors.
Look,
that's not a fair argument though, Fig.
Why not? You blaming the athlete?
These people are real people.
Let's move on. We could be arguing about this for a long time.
No. Hip hop manifests as violence, and it's the only genre where their artists get murdered. Okay, so there is a connection.
All right, that's the last point. Let's move on because now we're talking about injuries and stuff like that, and we're talking about things like that. So let's move on because now Dillon Brooks got suspended for Game 3, literally from his actions, his wind-up action that he did, and everything else. And some of the people in the NBA have come out through certain sources and podcasts and said, thinking he should be suspended for more than one game. Fig, my thought to you is:
did he catch 2 games?
One game.
I got one.
One game. Fig, do you think? Steve Kerr came out and said, and this I thought about this. Steve Kerr said that if you commit an injury to a player and that player is out for 3 weeks, you should be suspended for 3 weeks. And I thought about that. I was like, I understand his point. I don't necessarily agree, but I understand his point. Dillon Brooks got suspended for 1 game, and he's a free agent. What's your take? Does this hurt his value this summer too, Fig?
No, not at all. Dillon Brooks is a very good player. What he did was egregious because you knocked the dude out of the air, and you know when a guy's in the air, that the chances of him being severely injured is increased exponentially as opposed to a hard foul on the ground or grabbing somebody and preventing them from getting a layup or something like that. What he did was pretty much irresponsible. And be honest with you, if you really want to clean up the game, if you really want to clean it up, if you injure a player doing something irresponsible, I mean, like what happened to Steph Curry, you dive in for a ball, that's accidental. But if you do something extremely irresponsible, then I don't see a reason why you shouldn't be out as long as the player that you injured. Like what Dillon Brooks did, that was severely irresponsible. And you know the chances of this guy being injured, severely injured, went through the roof because he was in the air. He had no place to go but down on the ground, severely injured. Dillon Brooks should be out as long as GP the second. He should. I mean, that would be fair. But guess what it would do? It would make you think twice before you do something like that again. Because you know, if this guy gets injured and he's out for 4 games or 5 games or 5 weeks, I'm going to be out for the same length of time. That would make you think before you did it again.
Rodney Perry, what's your thoughts? You agree with Steve Kerr, or do you think Dillon Brooks being suspended for 1 game is enough time and then things should move on? And also, does it hurt his market value? He's a free agent this year.
It doesn't hurt his market value at all. You know, you guys like tough players. You guys like the old school.
Thank
you. You know, these guys are too soft. How come they don't do more physical stuff? But they do it. Here you go.
Thank you.
You can't make it relative to how long the guy got hurt, because what if he doesn't get hurt? It's still a bad play, right? if Peyton goes down and don't get hurt, there's no reason for the guy not to still be fined and or punished, right? So it can be driven by whether he was hurt or not. So I think you fine him regardless. So I dismiss that idea, but I do think he should have caught 2 games. At the very least, he should have caught 2 games in the playoffs. That's exponentially more games because it's playoff time. And he was wrong because he never could have got to the ball. He has to evaluate that going in, and hit him across the head, took him down. It was a horrific play, and this kid may not ever come back.
Mike, the thing is, the thing happened so fast. The play happened really, really quickly. He jumped up. You know what I mean? So on the other people having the other argument and saying the play happened too fast, that they don't think he wound up like that to actually hurt somebody. People are actually saying, I'm not saying this myself, people are actually saying he wound up to really block the ball, but the man's head got in the way. That's the argument. What's your take on this?
His head got in the way because that dude don't jump that high.
I'm so happy that Rodney said what he said about everybody over 35 years old who's complaining. This is the basketball y'all been praising for years. Y'all been praising this for years. The Jordan rules. Kurt Rambis getting clotheslined by the Celtics. The game is too soft. Fine. Go past that. He deserved to get suspended. It's a horrible game. Anybody who believes that Draymond Green tried to catch that dude, miss me with that. That was the biggest acting job ever. You smack the dude in the face, then you grab him out the air. Steve Kerr, exactly how you going to complain about somebody smacking somebody in the air where your player grabbed somebody and yanked him by his jersey off the air, out the air. That was not a basketball play. They should both be suspended for a game. Both of them should have been suspended.
So a game. You're fine with the game.
Yeah. I'm not doing 2 games. I'm not saying Rodney's wrong with the 2 games. I think the 2 games gets too dramatic because it affects the game. It affects the series too much at that point. That's all I'm saying. I don't think Draymond should have got 2 games. I think but I'm not saying, once again, I'm not saying Rodney's wrong. I wouldn't have flipped up, done backflips if they did give him 2 games. But I'm saying both of those fouls, both players should have been suspended.
Amir, being that your brother played, obviously, in the NBA and everything else, you have a different look. What's your take on this, bro?
I think that, the suspension of 1 game is more than enough. I looked at the play that Dylan made. First of all, I don't think that it was with the intent that everybody's saying. I didn't see that, because if you really watch the play, he did swing across his head and unfortunately, caught him in the head. But if you look at his hand was around the guy's waist, almost as if to not, really think that he was going to fall as awkwardly as he did. Now, granted, he was in the air and everybody's going to say, but in basketball time, and anybody who's played the sport knows, when you go in for a layup and people are trying to supposedly keep you from going for a layup, that's a split-second action. Everybody's, Fig brought it up and he said, it was egregious and so forth and so on. You're talking about guys in the heat of the moment and really just trying to, in that moment, stop a play. If you look, he immediately turned to Gary Payton Jr. II and tried to see if he was okay. Look at what the official did, who jumped in and kind of pushed him away and made it into something. So some of what we're up against has more to do with the surrounding pieces than it has to actually do with the players themselves. Now, the Draymond Green situation, and to, again, the question that you asked, I just think that a game or so for all of these players is more than enough, because as Mike said, you do not want to see the whole series be affected by more than that, based off of something that shouldn't have really been that crazy to start with. Now, are people making bonehead plays? Yes. But in making bonehead plays, you live and you learn. If you think I'm lying, go back and look and listen to some of these guys when they talk about things sometime after their emotions have calmed down and they have a chance to look back. We all have those moments. Nobody's perfect.
All right, so, and moving on, speaking of obviously games and everything else, Joel Embiid has the injury update. Is he clear concussion protocol? he's probably going to play. He's going to probably put a mask on, everything else. I don't even want to talk about that story because, obviously we've been talking about this, but let's talk about this next thing up, man, because it's pretty big. Frank Vogel was fired by the Lakers. We all knew that and everything else. But a couple of reports came out last night saying, Fig, that he got fired because it was, as a coach, it was his inability to be able to coach Russell Westbrook. What's wrong, Rodney? What's wrong, Rodney? Go ahead.
I'm about to say something that's not good, so I'm gonna stand down.
Okay. So what do you want? You want to add to that, Fig? You say that Russell.
Well, here's the thing. Frank Vogel said he didn't want Russell Westbrook in the first place. That was the first thing. He said, I don't want him. I don't think he fits with what we're doing. I don't think he's going to help our team win. And then he took away some of Russell Westbrook's minutes in his playing time, which in turn lowered some of Russell Westbrook's turnovers. He took away some of his usage. I don't know what Frank Vogel could have did to make Russell Westbrook shoot the ball better or turn it over less. I don't know what he could have did, but I know one thing. He said, I don't want the man. I don't want this player. And you forced him on him. And then when he doesn't work out, then you fire the coach. And another thing, you never gave him credit for winning the championship in the bubble because that was all players. Had nothing to do with Frank Vogel. But now you give him Russell Westbrook, it doesn't go well. Oh, this is all Frank Vogel's fault. Man, let me tell you something. An NBA coach is the worst job that you can have in sports.
Interesting take. Rodney Perry, you are a huge Lakers fan on this panel and everything else. Do you think Frank Vogel should get the accolades and the blame for what's going on? And literally, it came out that his inability to use Russell Westbrook is the reason why he got fired. When you hear that report, what's your take on that, Rodney Perry?
I mean, the reality is that that's just kind of how the game works, man. I mean, coaches take a fall on the sword when it comes to this type of situation. You got ownership that's gonna be still there. You got the players that's gonna be still there. So you kind of got to maintain the relationship. The guy that's leaving, you blame him. So Frank Vogel did get a ring there, which is a valuable piece of hardware. But he did fail to get the guys to even a playoff berth, and he's gonna have to take that, just like Doc Rivers had to take it, just like any other coach had to take it. That's just what the NBA is.
Okay, that's his take. Mike, do you think Frank Vogel should take the blame and get the accolades for everything that's going on with the Lakersville, and especially with this news coming out about Russell Westbrook?
I will argue that I'm the biggest LeBron James fan ever, right? I will argue that I'm the biggest LeBron James fan ever. But y'all all got to take blame for this. Like, it can't just, like, Frank Vogel has to take it because he's the easiest person to get rid of. Y'all wanted this dude. No coach in his before he became a Laker, has been able to coach Westbrook any different. He plays the way he plays. That's how he plays. That's what he does. Frank Vogel was in a situation, you know how people would have flipped if he would have benched Russell Westbrook and made him come off the bench? Y'all wouldn't have supported him. LeBron would have left him right on there on the island. And it probably would have been the best thing to do to have him come off the bench. So is it unfair? Yeah. Is it the usual? Yeah. And the Lakers are a mess right now because if you haven't heard about it, they're going to have Phil Jackson have input on who the next coach is. For those who don't know, LeBron James hates Phil Jackson. Yeah. Him and his team hate Phil Jackson. So it's about to be a mess in Los Angeles. So I don't know where the Lakers are going to be when this season starts.
About to be.
Like, I wouldn't be shocked if LeBron was wearing a Clipper jersey. That's how crazy it might be.
Amir, what's your take?
Again, this is one of those situations where, yes, it is unfortunate that Frank Vogel is, going to take some of the weight of this. But, to points that were made earlier and to the biggest point, Westbrook didn't play well. Look, coaching, no coaching, he didn't play well. Now, granted, it was his first season. He was back home because he's a LA kid, if I'm not mistaken. So all of those things, aside. But at the end of the day, Frank Vogel also didn't do necessarily well with the rest of their squad. It wasn't just Westbrook. Look, they had AD out. LeBron played incredible the entire season, but they did not. Fig, stop giving the
Oh,
faces
he played
because
incredible
his
the entire
his
season. He
his
played
He
his he
wasn't.
was.
incredible.
Hold on. He was in the MVP conversation the entire
Yes.
season. If you look at his numbers, that's first off. But the reason why I'm bringing that to your attention is because what I'm trying to point out to you, Fig, is the rest of the players at no point definitively showed up, and Frank Vogel, for whatever reason, did not seem to be able to get those guys on board. That's where the issue was. It wasn't just the fact that he couldn't get Westbrook to play well. He couldn't get some of those other players to play well. And when you're talking about coaching, and that's what coaching is, your job is to not only get the players who are great, but you're also supposed to be able to motivate the other players and find out and figure out how you can get them to buy into the system and play well. And he didn't do well with that.
But it's funny you all are saying all this and everything else. The reason why I wanted to bring up this story and get to it too is because
Fig wanted to say something.
56.
56 what?
That's how many games LeBron played this year. 56.
He said, never mind. It's just amazing that no matter what this guy, you guys are so blinded with your hate about LeBron. The man averaged 30 points a game and 7 assists. Dog, that is ridiculous. Like I can't even get into
56 games.
Listen to this. Listen to this. The reason why I brought it up is because DeAndre Ayton is a restricted free agent. Phoenix can match whatever contract he gets and everything else, but word is coming out of Phoenix and everything else that he wants to leave. He's got 3 or 4 places he wants to go. It's the obvious 3 or 4 places he wants to go. Obviously, LA is one of the places he wants to go because of obvious reasons. I don't see it. They don't have the budget for him to go there unless they get rid of Russell Westbrook. I think they could, but I don't know what they would do if they did. But
what is obvious reasons? What do you mean by that?
Obvious reason about which part?
You said DeAndre Ayton want to go to LA.
He'd want to go to LA because everybody wants to go to LA. But Russell Westbrook, you got to get rid of that Russell Westbrook contract. But the problem is LA, all the mess they got. AD don't want to play center. You know what I mean? Ayton wants to play center. You know what I mean? So I think they're gonna try to figure out how I don't know. It'd be something to talk about. So I'm gonna throw it out to you, Fig. I'm gonna throw it out to you, Fig, and say, New York is one of the places he wants to go to too. So I know obviously you, Fig, would like to see him there. Do you think Phoenix is going to match his contract? Because they can max him out. They can match his contract. They have to make some changes, obviously, to their roster, but they can match his contract offer that he gets because he's not an unrestricted free agent. He's a restricted free agent. Fig, your thought on DeAndre Ayton?
Here's the thing. I like DeAndre Ayton because of the way he plays. He plays an old school brand of a center, but his usage in Phoenix is not that great. I mean, they use him as a last resort. The way that Phoenix plays is almost like adding the defense is like a Mike D'Antoni brand of basketball. It's like mainly threes and perimeter shooting. So they don't really incorporate him into the game probably the way that he wants to be. Right. So for that reason, I can see him wanting to leave. All right, so would I love to see him in New York? Yeah, man, he's a big time player, man, defensive and offensively. If you use him, I think he'll be a great addition to any team, whether it be the Lakers, New York, or what's the third team, Frank? Carolina,
the Hornets.
The Hornets.
Yeah,
Charlotte. He'd be dope with them young boys in Charlotte too, because he's a big time player.
Well, the reason why I wanted to bring that up too, because in the Charlotte situation too, is because Rodney Perry. I'm gonna throw this one out to you, Rodney. The Hornets and Pelicans are trying to make a trade offer and everything else. They've already submitted an offer. The Hornets literally are trying to get Zion Williamson to pair him up with LaMelo Ball, and they're putting Gordon Hayward in a trade offer to them and everything else. Now, obviously, both of their seasons are over, everything else. It's really something we talk about all summer long and everything else. But Zion wants to stay right now with the Pelicans and max out his off, because he's working on his rookie contract. He wants to stay there and everything else. Not sure if he has a no trade clause just yet. Would you like to see that trade, Rodney Perry? Or Zion up there with LaMelo Ball and Charlotte?
No, I think he puts himself in even more dire straits than he thought he was in with the Pelicans. I mean, we all thought the Pelicans was pile of doo-doo, and they came out and they played this year without Zion. With Zion, these guys might be winning the West or the East. I mean, they look really that great. With a Zion, a healthy Zion, that could have been a really good look. And so if I'm him, the last place you want to go is the damn Charlotte Hornets. Right. You know, and to talk about the other the point we made, shit, I don't remember. You mentioned so much different shit. I'm sorry.
That's the point of the show, right?
No, hold on. Let's stop right here. You mentioned
Aiden, DeAndre Aiden.
We was talking about Aiden, but before Aiden, we mentioned the dude
Frank Vogel
from the Embiid, but we ain't gonna talk about that.
I don't know what you're trying to say, right? I don't know what you're trying to say.
I'm saying, how do we not talk about the current game tonight?
Because I want to talk about the game after I talk about these topics. I'll get to that in a second.
All right.
I'll get to that in a second. I was going to get there, Rodney.
Okay.
Like,
I love you, Uncle Rodney. I love you, man.
I do.
We all been waiting on bated breath. We've been talking about this for 3 days. If this guy's going to play or not, and whether or not it's going to make a difference.
Okay. Speaking of the game tonight, actually speaking of the player and everything, I want to talk about Victor Oladipo before I can get into the game tonight. Victor Oladipo. Yeah, he's the man. Victor Oladipo is up there. He's trying to get to Chicago. He's trying to get to a couple other places too. So
why are we talking about trades, Frank?
Hold on. Can I finish? He wants to come and play full circle. He's obviously going to ball out with Miami tonight. He wants to play. So, Mike Sean, do you think that's going to be the difference in the Miami series? You think it's going to be the difference of what's going on? Because people are talking about this series right now. People are saying that this is what we're looking at.
There is no difference. The series is over. The series is over. It's over. And I think it's really dangerous to put Embiid out there right now. Simply because I don't want my franchise to get hurt in a series that I don't think we can win. Like I don't want. He's already got a torn ligament in his hand. Now now his face is broken. Like I think he's gonna play because that's what he's gonna do. I would do it too. I'd be like, I'm the star of this team. I want to play. But sometimes you got to protect them from themselves and be like, let's keep it 100. We're not winning this series, but that's all I'm gonna say because I know Rodney. Rodney deserves to have. Go ahead, y'all. Go ahead,
Rodney. You got because I was going to bring it full circle back around for a sweep with obviously Joel Embiid actually playing in concussion protocol, all that stuff. I'm going to bring it full circle. But go ahead.
I mean, when I watched the coverage this morning, a lot of the guys saying at very least it'll be a gentleman's sweep with them winning one game, and all this whatnot. But here goes, man. Joel Embiid, if he comes back, he deserves to play. He deserves to do his thing, and the series is not over till it's over. It's not over, and y'all talking about Miami like Miami is really that good. They was just fighting among themselves 2 weeks ago.
That's true.
Miami could mentally fall apart at any moment. Let me tell you what I tell my daughter all the time: forget what you know. Forget what you know. Sometimes people got better numbers than you. They look better than you on paper, but sometimes you have to forget what you know. And I think the Sixers are in that place. They're desperate. They're up against the wall. All they need to win is one game. If they win one game decisively, that could change the whole series because Miami is not that good.
Fig, I brought up Victor Oladipo for a reason. I think he is the X factor for Miami. Miami's got a lot of different, but Joel Embiid is coming in. Victor Oladipo's numbers are the best they've been in years. You know what I mean? But Joel Embiid is supposed to play, so I think he's going to ball out because he's a free agent. That's the whole point I was trying to make. He's a free agent.
Well, here's the thing. There's two things you're talking about. Number one, Victor Oladipo's a star. Definitely a star. Has he been playing good the last couple of years? No. But why? He's had severe injuries, and he's coming back off of injuries. And that's why he hasn't been playing well. Now, a healthy Victor Oladipo is a star and probably a starter on this very same Miami Heat team. Victor Oladipo is a starter on that team. Now, here's another thing. We talk about Joel Embiid. are you hurt or are you injured? Hurt means I can play uncomfortable. Injured means I can't play at all. So Joel Embiid is hurt. He's going to wear a mask. He's going to play hurt. Joel Embiid is so dominant that what he's going to do is draw so much attention, he's going to open up shots for other players. Those contested shots that these players have been taking these first 2 games, some of those shots are going to be open now that you got Joel Embiid on the floor, because he's going to demand 2 players at least to pay attention to him, and other shots are going to be open. So here's what Miami did.
He'll make Harden better.
Right. Here's what Miami did. They held serve. They won 2 games at home. That's what you're supposed to do. This series is not over. If the Sixers play well, they can beat Miami. Okay. Because they got enough players and shooters to be able to do it.
There's a lot of stuff I could break down on that, but I'm not. I just want to remind everybody that he said Victor Oladipo. How you say his last name?
Victor Oladipo.
Oladipo's a star. He said he's a star, right?
Yes.
Even though he missed a bunch of games. But LeBron didn't have a great season because he missed a bunch of games.
I didn't say that. I said LeBron. Listen, LeBron James is a star. I didn't say he wasn't a star.
But you said he didn't have a great season because he missed games.
No, I didn't say he didn't have a great season. I say he went in. Y'all said he was. Wait. You said he was MVP all year. I said he played 56 games. How could that be? If you miss 30 games, how can you be a MVP player all year? All right, 56 games. That ain't all year.
Rodney Perry, who you got tonight? You got Sixers or you got Miami?
I'm taking Sixers.
Really? Okay, Mike Sean.
First of all, they're not going to double team Embiid. They're going to play him one-on-one because they know exactly what Fig said. Why would we give open shots to people? Let Embiid score 40 if he's going to score 40. But we're going to make it that you're going to beat us by yourself. So I wouldn't be shocked if the Sixers win a game because I think it's going to be 4-1. But I say Miami beats them thoroughly.
And Fig, who you got?
I'm taking the Sixers. If Joel Embiid plays, I'm like, listen, if you're not going to double team me, all you're going to put on me is Bam Adebayo, I'm going for 50. You put Bam Adebayo on me, I'm going for 50 tonight. And my team is going to ride on my back.
I'm going for the sweep. I think Miami's going to sweep them. I'm going for the sweep. All right, so
but if you had to put money on it,
I'd put $1. I put $1 on them. Let's put $1.
All right, let's put $1. All
right, I got $1.
Yo, Frank, I swear to God, you wanted the Dukes.
I got $20 to say it won't be a sweep.
Huh? What'd you say?
I got 20 to say it won't be a sweep.
Yeah, no, I already got 20 with you.
I bet you $1.
I tried my best, but yeah, I got 20. I know I don't even believe this bet. I got a problem. Yes, I got 20. It's gonna be a sweep. Why am I even betting
this? So Mike, you think 20 will be a sweep, and Rodney
it's gonna be a sweep. Yeah.
Yeah, I got $1 say it's gonna be a sweep.
You can pay that on Monday because they're gonna win tonight.
Okay.
Right. You
just make sure you gotta perform tonight, Rodney. Rodney, you performing tonight?
No.
Everybody stay on that damn text thread tonight. Everybody stay on that text thread tonight.
Yo, that's the show.
Miami's not that good.
All right.
No, they were just the 1 seed. They were just the 1 seed.
Right. That's all. Just the one.
They was the pitifulest 1 seed.
No, they weren't.
The Sixers were the 3 seed. Okay, all right.
All right, okay. That's the show. Fig. That's Rodney. That's Mike. I'm Frank. We gotta get ready to get out of here, man. That's my time. That's our time, man. Thank y'all for watching. We'll see y'all Monday. Box seats, y'all.